Want to be successful in social media marketing? We'll show you how. If you're not utilising social media to market your properties, agent or office, you're missing out on valuable leads from a massive target audience. With over 17 million Australians using Facebook every day, it makes sense to advertise where people are spending most of their time and maximise exposure. With Printforce Social Lab, we list and promote your properties for sale inside of Facebook, Google ad displays, among other social media platforms to ensure they get the best possible marketing reach. By unlocking the power of Facebook's behaviour-based targeting, Printforce Social Listings technology is able to deliver your properties to the most relevant people in the market, whether that's a first home buyer, an investor, or potential vendor. But the benefits don't stop there. A target audience is selected based on Facebook data and your own audience parameters. Potential buyers can easily like, share, browse property details, and register for your open home, all within their preferred online space, Facebook. At the same time, you'll get comprehensive reporting to show your vendors exactly how well their property is performing. With Printforce Social Lab, our goal is to get the best possible price for your properties. We do this reaching interested buyers at the right time through a medium they use every day. It's fast to get listed and there's no setup required. So whether you want a sophisticated digital marketing campaign to refresh your brand or want to promote your vendors' properties, we have tailored packages to suit your needs. It all starts with being social. Contact us today.
Well, welcome to this week's show. You know, they say a picture tells 1,000 words. Words are important, but in this digital world where first impressions are absolutely everything, poor quality photos, videos, virtual tours and floor plans can absolutely ruin your potential to get a sale. You only get one chance to make a good first impression, and more people are making decisions about property by looking at the online representations. You need to get it right the first time round. I want to tell you about a product called Brownie that delivers it all for you, and it does it really fast. Peter Schravemade joins me from Brownie. Peter, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. Really good to be here.
Yeah, I think we've got you in Chicago, haven't we?
We do. You've only just got me in Chicago, but it's nonetheless good to be in Chicago talking to you all the way back in Australia.
Yeah, the business has really taken off well in the States, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think that has to do with the way that the agents market property over here. It's very different to Australia. So when they look at our product, it presents to them, I suppose, an affordable, fast and high quality way of turning their images that they are using into something that obviously attains better results for them.
When you say it relates better to the way they work in the States, does it mean that there's no application for it in Australia, or is it something that we should be looking at?
Well, I personally believe that Australian real estate agents tend to be a bit apathetic, and that's a generalisation. But we have one aggregator in the REA group. And a lot of agents, I think, fall into the category of we'll get a professional photographer, we'll take photos of the house, and then we will upload them to realestate.com.au with some copy and maybe a floor plan, and our job is done at that point. Whereas a lot of the American marketers will use multiple services. They'll use SMS to attain leads to get the property out there. They'll use email marketing quite heavily, social media, which is also used through Australia, but that there's a heavier presence of social media. They'll actually be spending money on boosting, Facebook feeds or Instagram feeds. And then, there's Google and SEO, but almost anything that you can think of is open slather here in the States. And so everyone has a desire to get the competitive edge on the other agents in their area. Represent their property better.
It is an opportunity, isn't it, for agents in Australia and New Zealand and other parts of the world as well, even in the UK, to be presenting their properties much better. Can I just ask you, I mean, the range of services that Brownie offers is pretty large, and they all revolve around image and that first impression. What are buyers looking for when they shop for property online, would you say, Peter?
Well, universally, there are some pretty hard stats on this. The REA Group have that, and they talk about the top three things being good quality or high quality images, high quality copy, which is your text, I suppose, and then a floor plan are the three major things that buyers want to see when they're looking at property, and that's no different in Australia to globally. That seems to be the common consensus. So. Those three things are largely what we focus on. I'm not sure if you're aware, we actually do write copy as well as do the imaging and the floor plans.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, and we'll have a link to your website below this video to take you through. I mean, as I said at the start there, the range of services you offer is really very large. Just on that point, what is the most requested service that you offer agents?
Yeah, it's definitely the most requested would be the image enhancement product, which is $2. It's where you supply an image that you want professionally enhanced in the same way that you might find a photographer will enhance their images after they've taken the photos of your house. So universally, that is used in sales, in property management, in commercial applications. It's even used for, I suppose, what is lesser known about a company in Airbnb and short-term letting as well.
360 photography, of course, is relatively new. Do you see it replacing video in any way because it potentially gives the viewer a little bit more control? They can walk around the property?
Well, you can have 360 video, so I don't believe it'll ever replace video. I think video still has its place, especially for getting, I suppose, things to the market very, very quickly. But 360, I'd probably just change it slightly. I think new immersive technology is probably where the market, well, definitely where the market is headed. To be able to give somebody or better qualify somebody for an inspection or a prospective sales inspection is where immersive marketing is at, and 360 forms a large part of that. So to give you an example, we have things like the Oculus viewers or the goggles that people will go on and they can view a property remotely from having a look at them. But there are also companies who are devising, theatres that you're able to walk through and inspect a property using high-powered projectors to get some kind of idea. And whilst that, I don't ever believe that will replace a solid inspection in 90% of what we're talking about, it certainly does. We know it does qualify people better when they turn up to the property. They either know details about it that you can't get from a still image. They may have ruled the property out because of details that you can't get from a still image. And, that's saving the agent time. In the area of property management, it's almost invaluable. Because if you don't have to go and do an inspection because somebody doesn't like the fact that there's a fireplace and they can see that in the 360, then you've saved yourself, maybe an hour on the road to get to the property and to get back. So that at the moment, that's where I see 360 and an immersive experience is sort of headed that way.
Yeah. How many photos, let's talk about photos for a moment. How many photos do you think are essential on listening? I mean, what are you seeing the better agents doing, and how many should they use, and what are they?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've always been advocating 7 being essential, absolutely essential. 7 really, really good picks, and they form the basis because statistically, once somebody gets above 7, the chances, if they haven't been hooked on those 7, they won't continue on anyway. I would say personally between 7 and 10 is where I sit. I think 10 really good photos of a property will present it really well. You'll represent that property in the best way possible. I don't have a limit, but over here in the States where they're putting up to 80 online, I certainly do think there is an upper limit that can be reached. By the time you're struggling through 25 even, I don't know that I would have the attention span for that to continue on. But, I suppose the ones that I would be advocating is definitely the outside appeal of the property, any kind of lifestyle shots that are, representing where the family will live, or where the buyer will live, or whoever is the target audience, where they will live in the property. And, you know, I hate to use an old adage, but I really lean towards, and I think the successful agents are appealing to female inspections, if that's or female inspectors of the property, people who are actually looking at the property who are females, because I think there is a lot of power in the decision that they're making. And, you know, whilst that's a generalization and not the case in every instance, certainly what the women want to see is definitely a tip I'd give you if you're looking at which ones are effective and which ones aren't.
Yeah, that's a really good tip as well. Can I just take you back to 360 once again, 360-degree images? What products or cameras do you recommend that agents should be getting if they want to do their own 360 images?
Yeah, look, I've always been a heavy advocate of Matterport. I've always been advocating, Matterport being the actual industry leader, and certainly the way that you view the property in Matterport, had the little doll's house that you can swivel around and you can have a look at. That's still industry leading. I think that actual perspective, the 360 and the way it's presented to the buyer is excellent. But as far as 360 cameras, I can't go past the Ryco Theta. We had been recommending the S, but they've released the V some time ago, and the V is a very, very good model. It's a much higher quality model. It's faster. It's better at shooting the property, and there's a bunch of advantages that come with that. You know, the ability for the agent to carry the Theta V in their pocket and instantly upload to social media is a massive asset. I can't understate that. Here is a property coming to the market now, and we've got a 360 of it, and that really just whets the buyer's appetite. But the Ryco Theta is actually bringing 360 photography in line with digital. I'm not sure if you're aware of the process, but in digital stills, the way a professional photographer will go about it is they'll set that camera up on a tripod, and they'll take a series of bracketed images, which are images at different light resolutions, so that they can capture the externals and the internals. They will then edit those either themselves, or they'll outsource that, and then they will forward them to the client, who will put them on an aggregator. Now, the Ryco Theta V, it brackets, so it takes different light resolutions. You would then edit them, and they'd go back to the client, where they would go to a portal. And so there has been a leveling of the playing field, is what I'm seeing, between digital still and 360. And the Ryco Theta V, it starts at about $500 or $600 in Australia with a tripod.
Yeah, very, very good. Let's talk about floor plans, if we could. How critical are they? Have you got any stats on that? Because I know that we know the stats are very high for video. Are they just as high for floor plans? Yeah, well, the real estate, again, realestate.com.au, who sort of lead the way in actually understanding buyer behaviour, they're saying that 1 in every 5 buyers would ignore a listing if it didn't have a floor plan, and that's a pretty damning stat. That's a pretty hard one to get around. Australia is actually industry leaders in putting floor plans in their listings, and I have to say, both Australian imaging and both Australian floor plans are world leaders. So kudos to the Australian public. You're really getting that right. I see a lot of floor plans in everything: commercial, property management, and real estate sales. Yeah, I know when we're looking for property, Carolyn always, looks for properties that have floor plans. It's one of the first things she'll go to. She'll look at the hero image and then maybe go straight to a floor plan or a video. So, yeah, I tend to agree with you. Can we talk in rounding this out about virtual staging? Because a lot of the people who watch our show are investors. A lot of investor type properties, when they come on the market, don't have any furniture in them. They certainly present better with furniture. Staging, of course, physical staging can be quite expensive. Tell me about virtual staging and what you do there. How does that work? Yeah, well, I think virtual staging can be a very misunderstood art. And I use the word art. I think as brokers or as agents or as realists, anyone in the property industry, we forget that every day we walk into rooms and we know what they do. Because we have seen a vacant space
We've seen, what might be a sunroom. We've seen the master bedroom. And so once the photos are done and we've uploaded them to site, and this is that cycle that I keep talking about, that I see in Australian property marketing that I think we really need to break. I think as agents, we need to understand that, I have a friend who's 38 years of age, and his words to me are, I've been in 3 vacant houses in my life. 2 of those I've rented and 1 I've purchased. So for him, and just as an example, when I ask him, what are you seeing when you see this property? He doesn't know what that space does. So the idea of virtual staging is not to dress up a property, not to make the property look better, not to hide blemishes. I'd have to say, if you're going to do it for those reasons, you're doing it for the wrong reason. The idea of staging is to communicate to Jim Smith, who might be in his underwear on the sofa, surfing his iPad, and he's pulled up your listing.
That's not a good image.
Yeah, we can put clothes on him. But the idea is that you're a silent salesperson then in saying, yes, I know you don't understand what that vacant space does, but now I'm going to tell you using staging that space is a living room, or it is a master bedroom, or it is a studio. So, primarily, if you can consider that as a possibility, and you really only have to do 2 or 3, and I come back to those, the money shots, the ones that are going to sell the property, they are the ones that you would stage. And I mean, there's 100 things you can do as far as staging is concerned. You can, we even have, I suppose, sellers in some of the metropolitan areas here in the States that stage a space several ways to show exactly, what that space could be or how it could look to a particular buyer.
Yeah, so true. People's imagination, as agents, we tend to think that everyone sees it through our eyes, which is not right. They can't see it. It's that powerful closer where people are actually placing furniture in a room, which is effectively what you're doing with virtual staging. So that can be how powerful it can be. Yeah. Hey, Peter, we're out of time, mate, but thank you so much. I appreciate you giving us your time. We'll make sure there's a link to Box Brownie in this. If it's something you'd like to find out a bit more about, go and have a look at their range of services, because, believe me, they're very, very extensive. Peter, thanks for joining us from Chicago. Great to be talking to you, and have a good day.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. Much appreciated. Enjoy.